The heavy oak doors of courtroom 3B creaked open, and Amelia Brooks stepped inside, heels clicking on the polished marble floor. She wore a simple navy dress, clutched a worn leather purse, looking every bit the quiet housewife everyone thought she was. Her dark skin glowed under the harsh courthouse lights, but her brown eyes told a story of 3 years of hardship, years of a marriage that had quietly carved grief into her soul. Across the room, Derek sat at the plaintiff's table with his attorney, his blonde hair flawless, his expensive suit perfectly tailored the image of the successful businessman he wanted everyone to believe. Beside him, his sister Rebecca leaned close, whispering something, her red hair falling over her shoulders, a cold, smug smile curling her lips as Amelia entered. Amelia's lawyer, Mr. Peterson, an older man with kind eyes who specialized in simple divorces, gave her a reassuring nod. He'd warned her Derek's team was aggressive. They claimed she was mentally unstable, unfit to receive anything from marriage. They had forged medical records, lined up witnesses ready to lie, and plotted to leave her with nothing. She took her seat, heart steady but tense. They had no idea what they were walking into. All rise. The bailiff called. Judge Coleman interviewed a distinguished African-American man in his 60s, with deep-set eyes and graying hair. Someone who had seen every kind of human behavior cross his bench. Derek had specifically requested him, thinking Judge Coleman might be sympathetic to claims about an unstable wife. The judge's eyes swept the courtroom in his usual calm, precise way. But when they landed on Amelia, the unthinkable happened. Papers slipped from his hands, scattering across the bench. His mouth opened. His voice caught. "Your Honor?" Derek's attorney stammered, confused. The courtroom fell silent. Amelia blinked, confused. Why was he looking at her like that? Like he'd seen a ghost? Judge Coleman gathered the papers, his hands trembling slightly, cleared his throat, and finally, almost in a whisper, asked her full legal name. "Mr. Peterson," answered. "Your Honor, my client is Amelia Brooks, married name Derek Brooks, and her maiden name, Amelia Mitchell." "Your Honor," the judge interrupted, voice stronger now, loaded with recognition and shock. Derek and Rebecca froze. "Mitchell, and your father's name?" "Miss Brooks?" Amelia's chest tightened. She'd left that world behind years ago. Changed her name. Built a quiet life as a bookkeeper in a small city. No one was supposed to know. "My father is Thomas Mitchell," she said quietly. The courtroom gasped. Mr. Peterson's mouth fell open. Derek went pale. Rebecca gripped his arm so tightly her knuckles whitened. Judge Coleman leaned back, eyes sharp, voice cutting through the tension. "Supreme Court Justice Thomas Mitchell." Not a question, an announcement. Derek's lawyer shuffled papers frantically. Rebecca looked sick. "This must be some mistake," Derek said, his voice cracking. "She's just a bookkeeper. Her parents are dead." The judge's gaze didn't waver. "Mr. Brooks, it seems there are things about your wife you've never known." Amelia closed her eyes for a moment, bracing for the storm. But as she opened them and saw panic on Derek and Rebecca's faces, a flicker of satisfaction coursed through her. They were about to find out who they were really dealing with. 3 years ago, she'd walked away from her father's world after tragedy struck. Her younger brother Samuel had died in a car accident, weighed down by the expectations of being a Supreme Court justice's son. The media had torn their family apart, and Amelia had vanished, legally changing her name, taking a bookkeeping job in a small city, living quietly for 6 months. That quiet life had included Derek, the charming man who'd moved to town to start a consulting business. He'd hired her to set up his financials, bringing her coffee, making her laugh, and slowly, effortlessly, getting under her skin. She thought she'd found peace with him. Dinner dates, small gestures, a simple wedding. Rebecca had seemed welcoming. Derek had seemed genuine. And for the first time in years, Amelia believed she could belong somewhere, be someone ordinary. But cracks appeared quickly. Casual questions about her past, her finances, her parents. Derek's concern became scrutiny. Rebecca's visits turned cold and probing. They claimed it was curiosity, but Amelia realized it was an investigation, not love. They went through her things, read her emails, checked her bank statements. Derek accused her of hiding wealth. Rebecca pressed relentlessly for details about her childhood, her connections. The breaking point came when Amelia discovered Rebecca rifling through their closet, holding her old college photo album, photos of her at high-profile events, wearing her father's gifts, carefully framed political functions evidence of the life she had tried to leave behind. Rebecca's sharp smile never faltered. Interesting photos. You look so comfortable here. Amelia's heart sank. They weren't just suspicious, they were plotting. Weeks later, Amelia walked in early one evening, migraine pounding, and froze. Sound from the living room moans. Whispers. Betrayal. Derek, her husband, naked with Rebecca. And the conversation she overheard afterward shattered her world. Psychiatric commitment. Forged evaluations. Guardianship over her finances, all planned meticulously to strip her of her life. The irony was brutal. They were trying to destroy her for wealth she didn't have. But Amelia wasn't helpless. She recorded conversations, gathered evidence, photographed forged documents, and finally, 3 years later, she called her father. "Daddy, I need help," she said, just as Thomas Mitchell listened and smiled, knowing she wouldn't be a victim. Together, they built a legal team that made Derek's small-town attorney look like an amateur. Harvard-educated criminal attorneys, former FBI investigators, forensic psychologists. Her team was formidable. And Amelia herself, with her own Supreme Court experience, was the deadliest asset of all. On the day of the hearing, rain drizzled outside. Derek and Rebecca, confident in their plan, walked into the courtroom expecting an easy victory. Judge Coleman entered, papers in hand, and froze. Amelia sat poised, calm, no longer the quiet bookkeeper. Her true identity and expertise shattered their carefully built strategy. Margaret Chin, a top criminal defense attorney, arrived alongside federal prosecutors. Over the next hours, every fabricated evaluation, every paid witness, every deceptive plan unraveled under intense scrutiny. Derek and Rebecca's conspiracy came apart piece by piece. The verdict? Divorce denied, counterpetition granted, full restitution, punitive damages, federal charges, restraining orders of works. Derek and Rebecca faced criminal prosecution, imprisonment, and public disgrace. Meanwhile, Amelia reclaimed her life fully. She returned to law, focused on victim advocacy, helping other women and men targeted by scammers and predators. She found love again, this time with Jonathan Hayes, a partner who valued her strength over any name or connection. 1 year later, Amelia stood in her office, a law firm built to fight fraud, helping victims recover and protect themselves. She reflected on how Derek and Rebecca had tried to break her, only to remind her of her own power and skills. Hiding from her past had once felt safe, but facing it, embracing it, and using it to help others, this was freedom. Her life was her own. Supreme Court Justice's daughter, brilliant lawyer, advocate, survivor, and finally, truly happy. And as she walked home with Jonathan that evening, hand in hand, watching ducks glide across a pond in the fading light, Amelia realized that she hadn't just survived. She had integrated all parts of herself: the quiet bookkeeper, the legal genius, the daughter, the advocate, and nothing could touch her now.